Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the E-50 review, the Tier 9 German medium tank. Even though the hull of it looks exactly the same as on the E-75. There you are, this thing only gets a bigger turret, but the hull is exactly the same. And what you basically get with the E-50 is a huge medium tank that's not very mobile. It has a really good gun for the tier. And the armor frontally, I mean, it's alright. They changed the armor from 120 upper to 120, from 120 upper and 120 lower to 150 upper, which is really nice, but only 100 lower plate, which means that this tank is now vulnerable to lower tier tanks as well. It used to be like tier 7s and 8s were really struggling to pen an E-50 frontally. Now most tier 8s can just punch straight through this lower plate and you can't really do much about it, so you have to try to hide it or hope that they miss it. Side armor 80, which only makes you it available to side scrape at the auto bounce angle of 70 degrees, which is not brilliant, but you still can get decent values on your upper plate, and this shouldn't be easy to penetrate for anybody. Lower plate though, still not much more than 200 armor here. Third armor 185, which you need here is around 200 penetration to punch straight through this quite reliably. The cheeks of the turret are auto bounce, apart from these ear things here, where you can get like really bad armor values some points, but some points it's a ricochet as well. Cupola, it's not very big, it's not very well armored either. I mean, you can get some ridiculous 285 values here, but then again you get 170 as well. So it's not impossible to pen this, but I wouldn't recommend you to go for it if you can see the flat parts of the turret. Let's look into the soft stats of the tank, comparing it to the T-54 as always. Soft stats are actually better. Aiming circle spread is better at most things, especially traversing. But there's a good reason for that, since the traverse is only 32 degrees, which is more or less an IS-8 or a 50-120's level of hull traverse. Full speed moving though, T-54 has lower top speed, so this makes sense as well. Mobility 14.38 horsepower per ton, really poor. Again, IS-8 or 50-120 level of horsepower per ton ratio. The substats, terrain resistance, pretty good though, better than on the T-54, but the thing is that this horsepower per ton ratio is slaughtering the mobility of the E-50, so these stats don't really affect it so much. It still feels very sluggish compared to the other medium tanks, and the traverse speed just puts another nail into the coffin of the mobility of the E-50. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else to note here. Let's get into the replay and see the beast in action. So since we mostly talked about mobility already, basically this tank is like a 50-120. It really reminds me of a 50-120, the French heavy tank in mobility wise quite a lot. It has obviously better armor, but it doesn't have the autoloader and the massive cannon. So yeah, mobility wise, as you can see, this tank struggles to climb, it struggles to accelerate on the flat ground as well. And once you get your speed going, or once you go downhill, it's not that bad, and the traverse speed on the hull is really bad as well. It's actually the same as on the 50-120. So yeah, as I said, it's a fast heavy tank, really what this is. So what makes this tank special? Well, obviously if it's not the speed, it kinda is the armor, but it had to be the gun. So what this tank gets is a tier 10 gun that fires AP instead of APCR standard ammo, which means that you lack penetration, even though it's still not bad. 220mm penetration is not bad at tier 9, and you basically have the same rate of fire as the E-50M. You have the same accuracy of 0.30 or dispersion, whatever you want to call it, which is really good. You have the same aiming time, 2.1 seconds, which is alright, especially for a slow vehicle like this. You will really not notice that aiming time at all. And the DPM for a gun that hits for 390 is also not bad, especially when you set your enemies on fire like that. The DPM is getting so much better. But yeah, as you see, the tank struggles to accelerate, especially on little inclines and even on flat ground. It's not that fast. And why did I go here? Well, obviously because it's better to be hauled down than not to. And when you're all down and your enemies are not paying attention to you, that's even better. I never understand why people are never using the spot I will go into. It's so good when there's IS-8s and shit like that to shoot where they are at the moment. So equipment, I recommend for the E-50M has to be rammer for obvious reasons, red staff for obvious reasons, and coated optics for obvious reasons. Crew skill wise though, 610's nice. Repairs obviously, and then some skills that are good on the E-50 but not so good on the E-50M is clutch braking and preventative maintenance. E-50M doesn't catch on fire almost at all, while the E-50 is basically it spawns being on fire. Like if you don't catch on fire in the game, then you probably didn't get shot at all. But the usual skills are good also. Smooth ride, snapshot, recon and situational awareness, always nice. As the tier 10 brother, the E-50 is really good at ramming things as well. It is slower, so you'll have to struggle a bit to ram anything on the flat ground because the tank accelerates poorly. But if you go downhill and ram somebody like that, then you'll have a really good time. So how to play this? Well, obviously try to not expose your entire tank all the time. Try to hide your lower plate whenever possible, otherwise you're gonna find yourself being on fire quite easily. And obviously being held down even you have a bad turret armor is better than being completely in the open. And side scrape when you can. Don't try to side scrape whenever you can though. Like, your armor should be your last resource, even though it's pretty good. You should try to do damage without getting shot back like I did for most part here. I took one of the shots, but it was for a good cause. The IS-8 started to panic. He drove out from his position where he was covered by his tank destroyer, and now he's dead. Can be aggressive in the E-50. Just optics are really good for aggressive play, and just know the maps, know the positions where aggressive play pays back and where it doesn't. And here I'm just trying to get the gun depression. You really have to get used to that side gun depression, and I realized that it will be kind of silly to drive on top of a hill to shoot that guy, so I avoided that and missed out on some damage, but probably saved myself quite a lot of hit points there. So the stock grind is for most tier 9 mediums is pretty damn bad. There's one gun I would not recommend you to unlock at all, the long 88mm gun, the L100, the 8.8 meter long gun. I would not bother with that. It has high penetration, but it doesn't have the DPM or really anything to be worth unlocking, and it's just gonna be a waste of free XP. But the thing is, the turret and the gun is vital, and if you cannot deal with the poor engine power that the stock engine gives you, then you probably should get the engine before you get the top gun or the top turret. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I got a bit unlucky, got tracked. Would have been a nice round, but he kind of denies it. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah, here's something the D50 does really good. It stumps on these low tier shits really well, and you aren't really afraid to lose your health. I mean, most of these things don't have more than 175 penetration, so they're gonna struggle like hell to pen you, which is really nice. It used to be even better with the old armor layout, 120 upper, 120 lower. A tier 7 would really struggle hard to pen an E-50. Now they still have a chance. If your lower plate is angled badly, they still can pen that easily, but as long as they cannot see that this tank is gonna be indestructible for them, even most of the gold rounds are gonna struggle quite a bit. Like an IS gold round is gonna be quite useless. Now the last skill, have to have some ramming, otherwise it wouldn't be an E-50 game. Here we go, let's try to get some ramming done. As you can see, the tank is really heavy, but once it gets going it's really fast as well. Get the ram in and get the kill. So that's the game. Let's look at the end plates. 1386 experience with premium, ace tanker, bunch of ribbons, I don't even remember the names of them, bars and arms, and high caliber, 5842 damage done, 2571 assisted. Most of the assistance probably came from the end there, but that's something you can do when you preserve your health. You can just go in and spot everything at the end and get a bunch of XP for it. So that's the E-50. It's really hard to call it the medium tank. Mobilities wise, it's a bit faster than most heavies at the tier. Like IS-7 and 5120 are really close mobility-wise to the E-50, and would I say I like the E-50 at tier 9 more than I like the E-50M at tier 10? No, I wouldn't. I mean, the mobility of the E-50M makes it alone completely worth the tier, and super high pen, 270 penetration on the E-50M is also really nice and welcome change. But not to take anything away from the E-50, it's really powerful. It lacks some key features that I really like about my medium tanks, speed being one of them. Catching fire frontally and losing your engine all the time is also annoying if you want to play aggressive. But other than that, the gun is awesome on this. The DPM, the penetration is reasonably good as well, and the accuracy plus aiming time makes this more or less a laser cannon. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you on the next one.